What if the very soil you walk on has a memory? What if the deep, emerald woods of the Pacific Northwest were the ancient? Rolling fog of the Appalachians aren't just scenery, but a witness. You step off the marked trail for just a moment, lured by a silence that feels heavy. You look back and the path is gone, the trees have shifted. Something is breathing just behind your neck. But when you turn, there is only a shadow that moves a second too late. Go ahead. Check the lock on your front door. Make sure the porch light is actually hitting the tree line, because tonight, we're going where the GPS fails. Welcome to Shadowland, a place where darkness breathes and silence speaks. Tonight, we venture into the heart of the American wilderness to explore 3 accounts of hikers who ignored the warnings. From a solo trek in the Olympic Peninsula that turned into a hunt, to a shortcut through the Blue Ridge Mountains that led to a house that shouldn't exist. Stay until the end if you want to know what the Forest Service Rangers are actually afraid to report. The damp air of Washington State has a way of swallowing sound. For Elias, a seasoned hiker, the Olympic National Forest was his backyard. He loved the isolation, until the isolation started loving him back. It started with the wood knocks. 3 perfectly timed strikes against a cedar tree. He stopped. Silence. The forest went dead quiet. No birds, no wind. Just the sound of his own pulse thudding in his ears. He laughed it off, telling himself it was just a falling branch. He found a beautiful clearing to set up his tent. The sun dipping below the jagged peaks. He felt safe. Grounded, he unzipped his pack, humming a low tune. Then he saw it right at the edge of his campsite. There was a circle of stones that hadn't been there 10 minutes ago. And inside the circle was his own spare compass, which he had tucked inside his zippered pocket. Elias didn't wait, he didn't pack, he just ran. But as he scrambled through the brush, he realized the woods weren't right. The trees looked like fingers. The shadows seemed to detach themselves from the trunks. He saw a figure standing on a ridge. A man, or what looked like a man, but the limbs were too long and the way it tilted its head was mechanical. It wasn't human. It was something wearing the shape of a person, waiting for him to trip. He made it to his truck, hands shaking so hard he nearly dropped his keys. As he peeled out onto the forest road, his headlights caught the figure one last time, standing in the middle of the road, waving a slow, love-good goodbye with a hand that had too many joints. Moving east, the terrors don't get smaller, they just get older. Beyond the Lazian Trail of North Carolina, the locals speak of the Whistling Man. Sarah was hiking a section of the trail near an abandoned mining town. The sun was setting, casting long orange fingers upon the trail. Then she heard it, a high melodic whistle. It sounded like a lullaby, she picked up her pace, the whistling followed. It didn't stay behind her. It seemed to bounce from the trees on her left, then the rocks on her right. She reached a small trail shelter, a three-sided wooden shack. She huddled in the corner, clutching her bare spray. Minutes passed. The whistling stopped. The woods returned to their natural evening hum. She let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. She was safe. The whistling man was just a legend. Then a soft voice whispered from directly above her on the roof of the shelter. "You're not supposed to be out after dark, Sarah." It used her name. She hadn't told anyone her name. She bolted into the darkness, her headlamp cutting a frantic arc through the trees. Every shadow was a reaching hand. Every rustle of leaves was a footstep. When she finally reached the trailhead parking lot, she saw a note tucked under her windshield wiper. It was a Polaroid photo, still damp. It was a picture of her sleeping in her tent 3 nights ago, written on the back in charcoal. "See you next weekend." If you want to survive the next night in Shadowland, make sure to subscribe and leave a light on in the comments. It helps us find you in the dark. Sleep well! If you're sure you locked the window.